I'd like to have a marathon with Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day, and Palm Springs.
If you feel up for it, you
Oh,
should
yeah.
have you should add Russian Doll to that mix. Really, really get that theme going.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nala.
And I'm Faith.
And this is the Sirens Den, a fandom podcast where we talk all things movie, TV, and pop culture to our heart's content.
On today's episode, we have someone from our sister podcast, Character Fight Night, the one and only Josh Wheat.
Woo, hello, woo, woo. Thanks for having me.
Josh, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
I guess we'd return the favor. It's nice just like guesting on another podcast.
There's definitely
a
lot
heavy burden.
Less pressure.
Also, if you guys haven't listened to Character Fight Night, we highly recommend that you do, not just because it's our sister podcast, but because it's a genuinely fun, good show.
And if you want to listen to us and more of our opinions, we guest from time to time.
Josh, tell us about Character Fight Night.
Yes, so it's a podcast where we pit fictional characters against one another in wrestling-style matches. So we've had some tag teams, some cage matches, some ladder matches, pretty much anything you can think of. We've been there so far. Not to mention some unrealistic, cartoony fights as well, which is great. I'll tell you a couple fights that we have coming up at the end of the show.
That sounds awesome.
And now on to the entertainment news. In the TV world, Disney Plus just released their first clip of WandaVision that comes out next Friday, January 15th. It's a very cute little, like, Leave It to Beaver 50s sitcom-esque little scene with Wanda and Vision, where they're in separate beds. Vision is sleeping, Wanda's awake, and she tries to turn on the light with her powers by looking at it. But every time she turns away, the light turns off. And so Vision, having done this a few times and turning the light on and off, Vision finally wakes up and decides to turn it on for her. They have this cute little banter. And Vision decides to check what's going on outside the house. It seems pretty normal until he hears a sound and quite literally jumps back into bed, cueing the laugh track. And Wanda just looks at him like, you're Mr. Tough Guy. So it's this cute little clip. It has me excited for some new Marvel content. And I'm really excited to see where they go. What do y'all think about it?
I'm pretty pumped. So of all the Marvel things that are coming out, I think WandaVision is one of the things I'm most excited for. And that's partially just because Scarlet Witch is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I've always found her to just be super intriguing. And so far, I think that the Marvel Universe has done her really dirty. So I'm really excited to see her kind of get to shine a little bit more and actually be written well. I was gonna make a Joss Whedon quip and I couldn't think of anything there. Insert Joss Whedon joke, cheap Joss Whedon joke here. I can't think of anything, but I'm sure if I did, it'd be better than anything he could write. Bada boom! Hey, there we go. We found it.
I think it's time to get back to the old style TV shows. I love like Twilight Zone and stuff like that, and this looks like scratching that itch.
Yeah, I'm also really excited. The Catherine Hahn, what she does and kind of who she plays and how she plays it, because she's a fantastic actress and I'm really excited to see her get to be in the Marvel Universe in what looks to be a big role.
I'm super pumped for just all these decades that they're going to be touching on. The production design has me excited, as well as seeing Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for her to make her appearance in WandaVision and then, translating into Captain Marvel 2 with Miss Marvel. It's just going to be a marvelous time.
I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but that was...
Oh, yeah. Puns are always on purpose.
The other thing that I think is going to be really interesting to see about WandaVision and why I think I'm a little bit more excited for that than some of the other Marvel shows that are coming out, not that I'm not pumped for those, is it's kind of the second phase of the Disney TV experiment. So we had The Mandalorian, which premiered 2019, but it premiered a couple years ago. We got season 2, but that's really been it as far as big TV or big Disney Channel original content has gone. Like they've done other shows, but nothing nearly as eye-catching and anticipated. And this is the second really anticipated Disney show. So it's really going to be interesting to see if it's going to be another gem like Mandalorian, or hopefully not. And I don't think they are, but they could totally miss the mark. And I think it's going to just really indicate how much stock they're putting into these TV shows and into the quality of them, just seeing how well this one does.
I have to say that you're right, but for me, I have a different personal preference on Mandalorian, and this is I like The Mandalorian because it didn't feel like Star Wars, even though it was Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like this show doesn't necessarily feel like Avengers, Marvel. It's just happens to be set in like the Marvel universe. So that makes me excited because they don't have to. You don't have to shove like Avengers down my throat every time, and I'll still enjoy it.
Well, we'll see next week. I think they're going to be doing the same format that they have been doing with their shows, which is releasing them on a weekly basis, which is very interesting to me that streaming has gone from, binge culture to now streaming services are doing this weekly thing again.
I'm kind of glad that they've returned to the weekly TV shows. Not gonna lie, I've actually kind of discovered that I have a much easier time keeping up with the shows I love that do premiere on an episode to episode basis, as opposed to the stuff that just releases in one binge, just because it gets so overwhelming to be like, oh, this entire season of this thing I love is out. I guess I have to find 12 hours of my day.
To add to that, it's really hard to, if you want to talk, like if you really like an episode, it's really hard to go back and pull that episode from 14 other episodes that you watched in a week. We can sit there and appreciate one episode for a week and then anticipate the next one.
Yeah, I think it really does good things for that fandom culture and being able to kind of keep the hype and excitement.
Yeah, I agree.
And I guess going in with theories again, obviously this is probably going to play into some level into like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because she has been confirmed to be in that movie as well. So I think it's cool that they're kind of doing this multimedia or like multi-platform type thing with their franchise, which is it's not all just movies, it's little nuggets that connect from other things. And honestly, like Wanda and Scarlet Witch is the first instance of a mutant that we have in the MCU. Even though they weren't like contractually, like legally allowed to call them mutants, they are now because, Disney is a conglomerate who owns Fox. So I think this could also be a great way to get mutants in the MCU as well.
I almost wonder if they're going to retcon the backstory they gave Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Like as Magneto's kids?
Yeah, because in Marvelverse they did back to Joss Whedon. They did they were raised by Hydra and experimented on. I remember when that happened, that a lot of the fans of the comics were like, "That's such a disservice to these characters." Like, what do you mean you made them?
You were saying that like, okay, like this is the story you're giving them?
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they're gonna take an opportunity now that they have the rights to some of those things to retcon some of the decisions they made there.
In this show, Wanda and Vision have kids, and it's been alluded to a lot of things as to who they might be.
Yeah, so for those of you guys who are comic book fans, you might be familiar with the comic House of M, one of the best Wanda comics out there. But for those of you guys who are not familiar with it, basically she creates alternate realities for herself. She has kids. She has Wiccan and she has Speed, which we're pretty sure are the two kids that we see in the trailer. But in House of M, she finds out that they're not real and that she wishes that there can be no more mutants because of it. And it I also might be recapping it wrong just because it's been since high school since I've read that. In the comic, she gets rid of all mutants because she makes a declaration of no more mutants and they disappear. But we think maybe this is how they're going to bring mutants into the Marvel universe, that it's going to be the opposite of that, which would be a really cool way to do that.
I want mutants.
True.
Josh,
All of them.
as another comic book nerd, what are your thoughts on that theory?
I think Wiccan is a really cool name. That
Activate
was
dad brain.
Yeah, I was like, that was just the lead-in. No, I think it would be really cool. I like the mutant. I don't think X-Men, especially since they went through Fox, I don't think they've gotten the justice that they deserve. X-Men is a really cool. Well, not X-Men, just mutants in general, like in the Marvel universe. They're just really cool, and I think they deserve more of the spotlight. We had our Avengers time. Now it's time to give the mutants the spotlight.
Oh, definitely. Especially since the mutants were created in a time of, to be social commentary on what's happening. The fact that this is happening yet again, I think it's time to bring the X-Men back for what the X-Men stood for.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm excited to see where it goes. WandaVision comes out next Friday, January 15th. Let's move on to some of our other topics in the news.
All right. So we're going to cover some anime news. So in anime land, it has been a pretty big week because a lot of things have premiered. A lot of really anticipated season 2s and works have come out this week. So in the lineup of things that have premiered this week, we have Beastars Season 2, Promised Neverland Season 2, Cells at Work Code Black, Cells at Work Season 2, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2, and then the first Sailor Moon Eternal movie is coming out. I could talk to forever about these shows. So they all kind of have premiered. They're all more recent anime. They've all premiered within like the last couple years or so, and they've kind of just become these really big phenomenon. So Beastars is really notable for being a CGI anime that looks gorgeous and has just a really, really good story. It was picked up by Netflix, and it premiered on Netflix last year. Promise Neverland is considered one of the most suspenseful anime to have hit the market. And that's been a really anticipated season 2, just to see where that story goes next. And
you piqued my interest on the slime one.
That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. It is exactly as the title says. It is a genre of anime called isekai. Isekai is the genre where someone dies and is transported into a fantasy world. Woo! And in this case, the person dies and they get transported into the fantasy world, except they're a slime. You know those slime monsters you sometimes fight in D&D or video games that are just like
gelatinous cube.
Yeah, it's a gelatinous blob who starts a village. It is
all right.
I would live in that village.
It is as anime can get. It's very wholesome, kind of perverted at times, but all around just a really fun watch. Also, that slime is very, very OP and would make a great addition to Character Fight Night.
Ooh.
Well, tell me more about this Sailor Moon movie. Sailor Moon.
So Sailor Moon Eternal, it is part of a 2-part anime film, kind of. It's based off the Dream arc in the Sailor Moon manga. But yeah, it is kind of the continuation. So in the 90s, of course, we had the original Sailor Moon anime and Sailor Moon movies, which were amazing. And recently, we've been getting kind of the update with Sailor Moon Crystal, which has been all new, crisp animation. And the movies are just kind of another part of that. It is.
Would you say Sailor Moon Crystal is crystal clear?
Y'all
are asking for these puns.
My wife is going to be thrilled to hear that
puns are too clever for me. I don't have a witty response.
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to interrupt. I just couldn't. I couldn't not.
So the Sailor Moon movie, it is going to be once again, it's based off the Dream arc. Basically, there is a solar eclipse that is happening in the month of April. Sailor Moon and Chibiusa, they meet a Pegasus who is looking for the chosen maidens for the golden crystals. The Pegasus continues to appear to Chibiusa, and it tries to just get her to join him. If you're a fan of the character of Chibiusa, this is going to be a really good movie for you. Just because this is where she really kind of gets to shine and really starts to kind of deal with some of the darker sides of Sailor Moon and that universe.
Well, I'm definitely down to watch it when it comes out.
Yeah. Also, since it's a movie, the anime movies tend to get a lot more of a budget than the TV shows are. So if you're looking for some gorgeous Sailor Moon magical girl animation, this movie is definitely going to provide that for you. Hopefully. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't promise that, but I'm betting it is.
I mean, from the posters I'm seeing of it, it looks gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Faith, I have one very important question.
Yeah.
You probably answered this because I'm not familiar with Sailor Moon, but will there be tuxedo mask?
Yeah.
I'm
unfortunately.
Down.
My
No,
job here is finished. But you didn't do anything.
tuxedo mask is
Bye.
the best. What are you talking about? That's the laziest character name ever.
He's fine. He's okay.
He's the laziest ever. No?
Well,
It's very on par with the rest of his persona.
that must be why I relate to him so much, even though I've never seen the show.
That's true. I mean, there weren't that many men in Sailor Moon for the boys to latch onto, so I guess they were like, yeah, that's me.
They're like, this guy.
Yeah, I would also choose my name to be Tuxedo Mask.
That does sound really hard, though. I can't imagine what that would possibly be like. Having a single character to identify with who's kind of lame in comparison to all the other ones.
That's pretty easy. They're like, let's just make a guy and make him lazy, and all the guys are like, hey, that's me.
And then final news, if you are a video game fan or a music fan and have Spotify, the entire Persona of the Persona game series soundtracks have released on Spotify after being region blocked for years. Particularly Persona 5 has a very iconic soundtrack. It is jazzy and groovy. It has songs that are so iconic they made it into Smash, the Super Smash Bros. Series.
So good.
The Persona 5 really is just probably one of the best games to come out in the last generations of video games. It is so stylistic, and the music really did contribute to that. And special shout out to Lynn, who provided the vocals for most of the music on that soundtrack. She just belts anthem after anthem after anthem on that soundtrack. And even if you've never played those video games before or have never even heard of it, definitely don't deny yourself and check out the Persona 5 soundtrack. It is just, as music goes as a whole, really good stuff. Josh, have you played Persona 5?
I have not. I'm lame. I don't know much about it. I heard it got really, really great reviews, and it's a really great game. And I probably owe it to myself to dive into that series one day.
Mm-hmm. And the Persona series is great because you do not have to play anything else in Persona to play a Persona game. You can just kind of jump in wherever.
Oh, even better.
I also haven't played it, but I have listened to songs on the soundtrack, and it's groovy. It's really nice. I can definitely see how having it in game just really immerses you to in a whole nother level.
Also, if you're looking for, if you can only listen to one song in the soundtrack for whatever reason, like you're cursed and you can only listen to one thing from an entire piece of media, I would highly recommend. It's It's called Rivers in the Desert. It is such just a triumphant anthem. I mean, most of the songs in that are, but it is because one of the things that the Persona series and that particular soundtrack is based off of is it's a heist game, and so it has a lot of that kind of James Bondy spy music going on, and that Rivers in the Desert is could be a James Bond theme. A lot of them could, but that one in particular it's such an anthem.
I think James Bond, like the James Bond music, is the best way to describe it because it's like jazzy, but at the same time orchestral. No, it's a great soundtrack.
Is heisty a word?
Yeah, I would
very
call it heisty.
Is that a cop out?
It probably, I don't know, but I'm using heisty in my vernacular now.
Look for it in Merriam-Webster.
That's just going to be the name of the episode is heisty.
Heisty. My biggest gripe with Persona is they have a character named Joker, and there could be only one Joker.
Yeah,
But he's a much better Joker.
Ah,
I'm okay with giving him the mantle of Joker.
I don't. We might have to settle that on Character Fight Night. Joker versus Joker.
For one thing, this Joker had horrible injustices happen to him and didn't turn into a complete Joker.
Did this Joker fall into a vat of acid?
But you know what? Joker v. Joker on Character Fight Night would also be pretty good.
Yeah, I would be down for that.
I think it might need to happen.
So yeah, do yourself a favor, listen to the Persona soundtracks on Spotify. You will not regret it. And if you're looking for one of the more instrumental ones, Layer Cake is, again, it really has that James Bond kind of groove going on.
Unrelated, but Layer Cake is a really good movie starring Daniel Craig.
Wow, the actual James Bond.
It's full. It's like full circle.
So as we move on to our main topic of this episode, we move on from 2020. Honestly, the thing that saved it was probably streaming services and the content that they put out, because they really delivered. And I can't thank them enough for keeping us sane. So we're going to look back at, our top 3 movies or TV shows that basically got us through the year. So everyone, let's go around and talk about one of the shows that really got you pumped to watch this year. Josh, you want to start us off?
Sadly, trying to find stuff, I realized I hadn't seen as many movies as I thought. I only saw like a handful of movies in 2020, which I guess is another sad thing that comes out of 2020. But I think the first thing that came to mind when I thought 2020 was the movie Onward from Disney Pixar. And there's nothing cooler than like elves or like elf troll things. And I always thought it was really cool from the beginning. And, it's like fantasy, but down to earth. Help me out. What's Spider-Man's name? I can't believe Tom Holland. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It was any Disney Pixar, film is just going to be, you go in with high hopes and normally it doesn't disappoint.
I actually have yet to see Onward. That is one of the movies that, well, I didn't.
Wow.
I know. I went from being such an avid watching every Pixar movie person to I haven't seen seen Onward. I haven't seen Soul. I didn't see The Last Dinosaur. Was there any others that came out from there? No? Yes?
We don't. You're okay for not seeing The Last Dinosaur. Whew.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the last Toy Story.
And
I
their
know
story.
who these characters are.
Let's get back to the real issue here, Faith. This is
Okay.
not only a Pixar movie, this is a Pixar movie based in like a fantasy world.
I know.
No, I think as a RPG player, you would definitely enjoy it because it basically is D&D.
Yeah.
Like
that's
they
why
bring
I'm
out
amazed she
all of
hasn't
it.
seen it.
Look, man. There's been so much content that's come out.
That's fair.
And granted, I've chosen to not watch a lot of it and watch stuff I've seen a million times before for some of it. But like, come on now.
It's
Life
okay.
is-
We all need
Yeah.
to seek comfort somewhere. I'm always a fan of like modern fantasy, which I just love the like how far they took that in Onward. And the story, like it's just a good old like wholesome brotherly story. And there needs to be more stories like that. Well, dope. Faith, what have you got from the year?
One of the things that I think I was most hyped for that was just a really good period was the most recent series or the most recent season of My Hero Academia. We got to go into some really just awesome places in terms of what the characters are able to do with their powers. We were introduced to some of like the coolest villains and some of the coolest heroes. Some characters who were previously just irredeemable really kind of got their moments to shine and just show another side of themselves. And it really kind of picked off into this horrible, like where the last season ended on this really just kind of tragic aftermath of spoiler alert, All Might, the main hero, losing his powers and not being able to be the symbol of hope for people anymore, and kind of how society is dealing with no longer having their beacon, no longer having their protector, and how other heroes and these kids are having to kind of pick up that slack, and how there's this really kind of sense of doom in society, and a lot of people having to kind of look past their idols and kind of get past this idea of idealization and having to be self-reliant. And My Hero Academia kind of picked up on some of those themes. So on top of just being a really cool, awesome, epic season, it hit close to home in some places, and it was a really just solid season.
I definitely need to get back on it. I started watching the first season and, life got in the way.
Yeah.
But
Also, the first season is definitely also the weakest of all the seasons.
Mainly, westernized thing be brought into with, the Japanese culture. I think it's really cool.
My input on My Hero Academia, it's a show.
Have you not watched it?
I tried once. I should go back and try it again. But
yeah, and
you had some characters fight on your show from that show.
Yeah, it's what didn't you like about it?
So I think all the so I've only seen like a handful of animes all the way through. I think I'm into more like bloody, mature. Like I really liked Attack on Titan. I like Demon Slayer. They both had gratuitous amounts of blood.
Fair enough. I will say I won't say that it gets particularly gruesome.
Mhm.
However, it definitely, because the first season is up until like the last few episodes is we're in hero school and we're gonna be awesome heroes and it's fun. I like that stuff, but I also like not a lot happens story wise. It's kind of because all shonen has this kind of awkward period where they just do a bunch of world establishing stuff where nothing really goes on. It happened in Bleach, it happened in Naruto, Hunter x Hunter had that arc, but it picks up. I promise you.
Yeah, I know it's not very fair to stop watching any show after the first episode, but it was just, like you said, there's so much content. You have to be.
Yeah, there's no judgment in that. If you did want it to give it another shot, you might want to try just jumping into season 2, just because that's when you actually start to get like plot. Also, season 2 is a tournament arc, and in the words of Guguk, tournament arcs, those are always the best anime arcs because it's just fights.
I like fights.
You would like it. It's character fight night. Character fart night. Character fight night. The anime, kind of. Not really, but that's how I'm gonna sell you to watch it.
I didn't think I could think of a better show name. Character partner.
Character.
And on the topic of superheroes, that leads into one of my favorite shows, I guess, to continue on this season as well, or this year as well. The Boys. Second season of The Boys was pretty dope. It was eerily, like, it was very haunting because it dealt with a lot of the things that we're currently dealing with, you know, minus the pandemic, obviously. But as far as, you know, corruption within the government and like racial injustice and like all this stuff, it really has been hitting some nails on the head. And I thought it was a great season. I'm very, very excited to see what they do in season 3. What do you think? Have any of you seen The Boys or have any inclination to watch it? Josh, you're talking about bloody, gory things.
Yes,
Pretty
I
brutal.
actually have seen. I think we're like 5 episodes in, though. I haven't gotten to season 2 yet, but with a 3-year-old at home, it's hard to find time to watch a show like that.
True. Fair point. Well, I mean, I think that they really they diverge a lot from the comics, but they have been taking really good care of it.
I do like, ever since hearing the story of how the boys came to be, it's always fascinating because it is the Justice League. It's just your like the parody of it.
I like that. So in season 2, they actually make a joke about that where they are filming a movie called Dawn of the Seven, which is supposed to be like, you know, Justice League, Dawn of Justice.
Justice. wasn't really ready for some of the scenes in the first episode, you know, where with Starlight.
Oh, no one was.
And the running through the girl, which I guess isn't a spoiler at this point. It happens in everything.
It was also, I think, in the trailer.
Oh,
Like, that's the thing. I watched the trailers. I was excited. I saw it happen. I wasn't affected by it. But my partner, who didn't know what was going on, was completely shocked. And I think they just did a really good job of really grabbing you in and making you care for all the characters, even though they're all, you know, really scummy people in their own way. I think, you know, I love me a good anti-hero story.
Yeah. By the way, did you know that Howie is Dennis Quaid's son?
Yeah. And Meg Ryan's son.
Yeah. I had kind of a wow moment.
There are a lot of times where he looks a lot like his dad.
I agree. Yeah, I can totally see it, especially after I had that revelation.
No, absolutely love Jack Quaid. Love him as Huey. Huge fan of Carl Urban, as y'all might know. He totally.
Sorry, I said
totally
Howie. I meant Huey.
Howley. So yeah, that's one of the shows. I mean, Faith, have you seen The Boys?
I have not seen it yet.
You might be fired again.
Yeah, I might be fired again.
I don't understand how I've seen more. I feel like I've seen more shows than you, and I don't watch TV like ever.
It's really, it's just 2 seasons. I think there's 7 episodes each, so it's not. I'm not gonna say not too much of a burden because it's also a pretty heavy show. But I think you'd really appreciate it. I think Homelander is basically All Might if he was horrible.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also a nice breath of fresh air from like comic book stuff. It is comics, but it also like makes fun of comics. So
yeah,
if you're in the mood for a good satire, I mean, we talked about being excited for WandaVision and like all these current superhero shows. It's nice to just kind of flip the script.
Yeah.
And see these horrendously horrible superheroes. All right, so let's go on to some other things in the year that we enjoyed. Josh, back to you. What else has gotten you through the turmoil?
I saw a movie that I thought was fresh and I enjoyed it. And it was kind of I think I found it on Amazon, like an Amazon ad or something, and I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna watch it. It's called Get Duked. Have you guys heard of that movie?
No.
Get Duked is I believe it's a Scottish film, but it's not subtitled. It's English, but they speak in like horrible Scottish accents, so it's hard to understand them. But it's hilarious, and it's basically like what is that story, The Greatest Game, where like the people are hunting people. So it's about 4 kids, like 3 reject kids and one like overly, like the smart kid or whatever, the overachiever, and they go out on this this hunt, this scavenger hunt or something like that, to find something. And it turns out they're actually being hunted, and it's just a lot of fun. It's like dark, it's kind of gruesome, like not nearly like Saw gruesome, but there's blood and stuff in it. But The Most Dangerous Game, yes.
We went to film school, okay? We're not that smart.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We're fine.
I was almost there. It had game in the title. But Eddie Izzard is in it, and she's always great.
I will definitely check it out then.
Yeah, there's like hip hop. The music in it is really good too. One of the kids is like a wannabe hip hop artist, and he has some songs that he puts in there, and it's really catchy, and it's just an all around good time. It was a nice. I don't know. I smiled through most of it. So.
Well, yeah, I'll. And you said it was on Amazon?
Yeah, it's an Amazon original film.
Awesome.
Okay. So it sounds like from The Boys and that I gotta get an Amazon subscription. Bezos.
I know everything's
I
a subscription now. It's so awful.
It's hard though because you can only have so many subscription services. It's getting ridiculous, but it looks cool. So I'll have to check it out.
Let me just say, a movie's good when they have a Red Band trailer.
That is true.
Ooh. Well, then I'll be for sure to check it out. And Faith, I mean, I can always hook you up with some Amazon stuff.
We'll see.
You guys can get Duke together.
Well, Faith, what do you got? What else
All
has
right.
been on your radar?
So, consulting the list I made, it was a really good year for video games. It might just be because there's nothing else to do, so I really appreciated the games that we got this year a little bit more. But and it was really hard to pick like which I think is the game that I loved and got the most enjoyment out of. But I think I'm gonna have to give it to Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Reigning champ.
Yeah.
So, Animal Crossing New Horizons, it is the continuation of the Animal Crossing series, which has always just been throughout just my childhood. I started off with Wild World on the DS, was obsessed with that. But it was always just kind of been this getaway, fresh air where you get to hang out with cute animals and fish and catch bugs and plant flowers and make snowmen and help a museum. It was a great escape.
I was just wondering if the Final Fantasy remake, if that came out this year, or if that was
that one did come out this year. Which god, that's another good one. That I really just want to. I almost want to just give it to video games because Final Fantasy, that was another one, just a beloved game that came out this year that I know I started off with Animal Crossing, but legitimately when I played the opening of Final Fantasy VII, just that bombing mission, like the full symphony score came on and you got that cinematic and I legitimately started crying. I was so happy.
a single tear.
Like I remembered that moment so much from the original game and just it was so weird because in many ways that's kind of what it always felt like Final Fantasy looked like, and then you go back to it and it was like, oh no, they were just weird block people. But yeah, it was such a cool moment. But anyway, I have to give it to Animal Crossing because, and for similar nostalgia reasons. And even though I will say Animal Crossing New Horizons, there's definitely things that make it one of the weaker entrances in the Animal Crossing game or franchise. But it brought so many people together. It's still, even if I think it's one of the weaker entries, I played it so much. I still had so much fun with it. It was just such a nice getaway. Josh, your thoughts on Animal Crossing?
I love Animal Crossing. The thing I love most about Animal Crossing is the amount of crap that Tom Nook gets for being such a villain.
Yeah,
you
he's
guys have seen
not
that, right?
though.
I love how people twist it though. They're like, he gave you this land and then he wants your money and all this stuff.
He built you a house and you're paying him for his labor.
Yeah, those houses do go up pretty quick, and I never see anybody building them. So
yeah, they go up in like a day. And you're repaying him from his labor. He has no deadline on when to get it back to him. You could never pay it off, and you get to keep your house.
What if we can live in that world? That would be great.
I know. So yeah, we stan Tom Nook, but you can just building my village up was really nice. I also went I had really fun because me and my partner, I had a villager move out, and he took her because she was one of my favorites, and I'd be sad if she left. But then I got to go dreamy hunting, so we got a bunch of Nook Miles tickets and just went island hopping until we found the villager we liked, and that was really fun. Also, it's been a nice way to do a creative itch. I've been slowly but surely building up my island to be just really, really pretty, and it's a tough process because that terraforming is not great, but you can make it look gorgeous. The controls might be frustrating, but it's worth it. It's so worth it.
So I just recently got a Switch, and I have yet to dive into Animal Crossing because I know how much it takes. But I'm definitely excited to start and try to get back on this train.
Wasn't Animal Crossing one of the games you got for your birthday?
No, I just got the Switch, but
okay.
I have access to a friend of mine's account, and they have it. So I just downloaded it.
Cool.
Snick. Well, awesome. I'm definitely glad that video games have also been here for a lot of people, especially with the release of the 2 new consoles and whatnot. I guess 3 new consoles with KFC, as we hark back to our last episode. But for me, I'm going to take it back to another movie that came from another streaming service. Hulu's Palm Springs. Have y'all seen this movie?
No, is that like the Groundhog Day one?
It is, yeah.
I have not seen that one either yet. I heard if you liked Russian Doll, you'd like this.
Pete Davidson?
Probably for that Groundhog Day concept.
Yeah, it's a Groundhog Day movie. This guy wakes up, he relives this day of him going to a wedding that he was invited to with his girlfriend, and you realize at the end of the day, he wakes up again, and it's the exact same day. But unfortunately, the night before, he managed to get someone else stuck with him, which is Kristen Milioti's character. And they both are now trying to figure out how to escape this never-ending loop. And it was just an awesome and fresh take on the Groundhog Day trope because it was like a dual protagonist story. You not only got to see him living the same day, you got to see her reliving the same day, and you kind of get invested in her choices and why she wants to leave. And she uses her time in this loop to like study quantum physics. Like it's just like they take really big liberties with it, and the cinematography is gorgeous. It's one of my like favoritely crafted films that I've seen recently. The colors are great. They really just make use of all the angles. I highly recommend it. It was funny. It was like heartwarming. It was very cute. So I highly recommend y'all check out Palm Springs on Hulu. It's a Hulu original movie. Well, from what I've told you guys, like, are you at all interested in potentially seeing it?
I'm a pretty big fan of Andy Samberg. He knows how to bring comedy to a movie.
Love him.
So
Their
honestly,
chemistry, their chemistry is amazing.
Yeah, and I will say for Andy Samberg, I have been wanting to watch that movie because I've been seeing clips of it, and I love watching him be a big goofball. So
he is a giant goofball.
I'd like to have a marathon with Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day, and Palm Springs.
If you feel up for it, you should have you should add Russian Doll to that mix. Really, really get that theme going.
Okay. Yep. And just watch it every day for the rest of my life.
Oh no. But yeah, highly recommend it. So let's move on then to one of the final things that got us through this mess of a year. Josh, round it out.
So originally, I'm going to give you guys a twofer kind of unfairly. Originally, I was going to do Justice League Dark Apocalypse War because it was the movie that rounded out the DC animated run for the year. But Faith got me thinking. I just got a video game, and since we're giving it to video games for the year, I just picked up Maneater, which me being a big Jaws fan was has been a ton of fun. It's supposed to be like a shark RPG, and it's been pretty wild. I'm loving it.
I really appreciate these animal simulators that are just like, hey, what's one of our greatest fantasies? To be an animal.
So the main things that got me, obviously being able to play as a shark is pretty rad. You can upgrade your shark, which gives you like the RPG elements. And me being originally from Louisiana, it's based in like the southern swamps. So it really plays into like that super Cajun like thing. The theme of the game is like it's a TV show called Maneater, and they're like hunting this shark that is you. So you're always you're always eating people, and you have this one person that's spoiler for the beginning of the game, but he killed your mom, and you're like the offspring of so you're trying to get back at this guy. But I also recently discovered that Chris Parnell, who's the voice of Jerry on Rick and Morty, is the narrator for the game. Which
nice.
If anything, that's probably going to get me to get it. I love Chris Parnell's voice.
Yeah. He says some pretty funny stuff too. Especially when you die, like having Chris Parnell make fun of you is just
Yes. That's all I want, Chris Parnell to roast me. Well, yeah, I'll definitely what platform is it on?
I got it for PS4. I believe it's PS4, Xbox, and PC.
I have none of those. So I'll try to look for something. We'll see. Well, dope. Yeah, once again, video games taking the lead. Faith, is your final thing a video game as well?
So there's been a lot of great anime that's come out this year. And as much as I want to take the opportunity to talk about how great Beastars is and how everyone should watch Beastars, I think I'm actually going to give my final thing to Persona 5 Royale. Persona 5 Royale. It came out. Granted, Persona 5 originally came out in 2016. However, Persona 5 Royale, which is a different game, but not really. To explain it, do you guys remember how in all the Pokemon games, they'd always have the third game with more content? So you had Pokemon Red and Blue, and then Yellow, and then Pokemon Ruby and Silver, and then Emerald and Crystal, and it's basically that. It's basically Persona 5, but with a lot more content, and they cleaned up some of the gameplay in a lot of places. They added a lot more story. And it was just it was a really fun play. It was just a really and Persona. This isn't like a new cash grab thing that they've done. The Persona series has been doing this with their games. We had that with Persona 4 Golden. We had that with Persona 3. I forget what that equivalent was, but it was there. But Persona 5 Royale, it was this one's equivalent. And also, it was really nice because it added like. So Persona 5 already as a game is just a ridiculous amount of hours worth of gameplay content. And they just added so much more. And it was a really just fun way to jump back into this universe and see such a already clean and polished and well stylized game just be that much more clean, that much more polished, that much more stylized. And we also got new music because, and as previously stated, the soundtrack in this is iconic.
My question is, the name sounds very misleading. Is it a battle royale game?
No. So when we thought it was gonna be one because the Persona series has released a bunch of spin-offs. That's not out of the question. For a while, they were announcing it as Persona 5 or Persona 5 R, and we were speculating that's what it would be, but it turned into just Royale. It's just kind of the title of it. It's to kind of go with the theme. It's already kind of this cheeky heist game, so it's kind of more in line with that. But
Okay.
yeah,
I'd like to see a game where you're a thief and you're planning a heist and you have to go up against other people trying to do the same heist.
ooh, that would be really fun.
Interesting.
They're not to the point that you're talking about. There's a little bit of that in this one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very heisty. It is.
Heisty.
So yeah.
We getting heisty tattoos.
So yeah, not to talk about Persona 5 twice in one show, but I recommended the soundtrack. Now I'm recommending the game.
But not Joker.
Then I'll see where I can get it, if I can get it, because I've just heard rave reviews on the Persona series, so I'd love to check that out.
Unfortunately, it is still a PS4 exclusive. That being said, I think it is a game they reasonably could port to the Switch. And Atlas, the company behind the Persona series, they used to be really bad about being exclusive to things, and they're slowly but surely releasing their games onto other content. So notably, another game that they did, Catherine, which is really, really, really good. It's such a trashy game, but I love it. That one came out on the Switch recently and worked really well on the Switch. And their Shin Megami Tensei series, which is the Persona series, is actually a spin-off of that. That's also starting to come to the Switch. So, but also, if you ever get a PS4, I have Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royale, so I can definitely hook you up.
Yes. Well, I'll go and round this out with my last pick of the year. I'm going to get a little basic because this is a show that a lot of people have seen. Maybe not y'all, actually, from these past few suggestions. Mine is The Queen's Gambit. I wasn't expecting to be super obsessed with a show about chess. I've never played chess, but it, like many other people, just really grabbed me, brought me in. Like, it invested me fully in this story, and I wish there was more, but unfortunately it's just a limited series. But if y'all haven't seen it, it's just 7 episodes on Netflix. It is a really great show, production design wise, acting wise, story wise. There are problems with it, of course. It's not a perfect show without flaws, but for the most part, it was a really, really just new and awesome show.
Nice. You are right. I have not seen that one yet. However, this is one I've actually been like really meaning to watch because everything I've seen of it, every image, every post has just really made me interested in it. However, I think the selling point, it was a random tweet on Twitter that made me want to watch it, and it was that the Queen's Gambit unfolds like a sports anime, and that's what makes it great. And
absolutely.
which I think is such a good way to describe things. And I love sports animes, so I really want to see what that looks like.
I'm actually trying to picture it as an anime now with like the really dramatic close-ups on the eyes. And yes, it definitely it translates it to a live action setting. It's definitely an anime.
Nice.
I have not seen it yet, but it's not really my cup of tea, but it looks beautiful. And I saw something, I don't know if it was on Twitter also. It was not the same tweet as yours, but it was something about the writer or the director trying to get this made for years. And it was supposed to be one of those inspirational things like don't give up on your,
Yeah, they were working on it. I think they said for 13 years.
Yeah.
I think they said they've been sitting on the script and they like brought it to I think 9 studios. And they all said no one's going to watch a show about chess, and they kept reworking it until eventually Netflix bought it. Apparently oh my god. Apparently Heath Ledger was going to make a movie adaptation in 2008 with Elliot Page as Beth Harmon, which I think would have been awesome. I think it could have worked as a film series, like a little trilogy as well. But they do a great job in the show of hooking you in. Like, again, chess was also not my cup of tea, but they do it in a way where it's like, wait, I care about chess now?
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah. I also have to say it does suck that you get a mini series that's great because you want more content, but I also appreciate mini series because you get your fill and then you're done and you don't have to worry about them running it into the ground.
Yeah, it's for sure a satisfying story with like a beginning, middle, and end. And by the end, you're like, this is great. I'm totally happy, but I just want more chess.
Yeah.
So I definitely say check it out. It was a really, really great like gem that came out of this last year in terms of original content. So yeah, I'm glad we kind of stretched out through movies and TV shows and gaming, because that's kind of what our show's about. And I'm glad all of those had a very significant place in our 2020 lives.
It's been a good year for content, and as much as I think we could talk about everything that we loved this year.
I will say honorable mention, and you were going to bring this up, Faith, but Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Also in that category, the second Kyoshi book came out this year, and it was a really good continuation of that particular Avatar series.
I guess that concludes the end of our 2020 recap episode, where I'm definitely cautiously excited, cautiously optimistic to see what this next year brings. But regardless, we've got a lot of content out there to be excited for. Thank you so much to Josh from Character Fight Night for joining us for this episode.
Woo woo!
Okay. So let me give you a little sneak peek of the next episode. We have a great lineup of fights. My good friend DK Johnston will be guest starring in that episode. And we have a fight that I think is going to relate to a lot of people. We have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 90s live action film going up against the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in a New York street fight. So
no.
That's so good.
So, I have to tell my partner about that immediately.
So
those are his two favorite things.
Yeah, it's not all of the Power Rangers, obviously. There's 4 of them. I think it's like green.
It's
blue,
the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers specifically.
Black, yeah. Come check it out. You can find us on Facebook, Character Fight Night, and listen to it wherever podcasts can be found.
That concludes our show. You can catch us on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to message us about another topic that we should discuss, you can always email us at sirensdenpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you to Ty for
And-
producing. Thank you to Sean Thomas for our theme.
It's been great. Bye.
Bye.